The galaxy was quiet now, but the silence carried the weight of destruction. Planets that once thrived with life were scarred, and cities that glittered with neon lights now lay in ruins. The war had ended, not with a sudden explosion or a heroic last battle, but with a calm that felt strange after so many years of chaos. On the planet Zerathia, the royal city stood among forests of silver trees and glowing rivers. Despite the war, Zerathians had rebuilt much of their home. The streets were alive again, and children ran through gardens that had been trampled by the conflict. Yet even in this rebirth, the shadows of the past lingered. Princess Liara walked along one of the grand terraces of the palace, her long gown flowing in the soft breeze. She gazed at the horizon where two suns kissed the sky, painting it in gold and violet. Her mind was heavy with the responsibility she bore, not just for her people, but for the fragile peace that now hung over the galaxy. She remembered the early days of the war, when fear had driven planets to distrust each other. Entire fleets clashed in silent voids, their explosions echoing like distant thunder. Liara, though young, had watched her advisors and generals make decisions that would decide the fate of her world. She had felt powerless then, wishing she could do more. But now she had hope. The hope came from stories whispered across planets. The tale of a mysterious warrior who had ended the war. This warrior had no known face, no allegiance that any world could fully claim. Yet through clever strategies, acts of courage and unexpected diplomacy, the warrior had turned the tide. Battles that seemed impossible to win were won, not by force alone, but by intelligence and heart. Liara sighed and turned her gaze inward, recalling a memory from long ago. Years ago, before the war touched the stars, she had visited Earth on a diplomatic mission. It was a small planet, quiet and green, very different from Zerathia. There she had met a boy named Aaron. He was unlike anyone she had met on her travels, curious, brave, and full of laughter. They had explored forests, climbed hills, and invented games that only they could understand. They had shared dreams of flying through the stars, of seeing worlds that no one had seen before. For a long time, Liara had believed those days were gone forever. Earth was so far, and the war had changed everything. People she had known as friends had been lost, and Aaron had disappeared from her life. Yet, even after all these years, his memory lingered in her mind like a gentle light. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. Liara turned toward the palace hall where her advisor, High Counselor Terran, was waiting. His tall figure and calm eyes gave her comfort. "Your Highness," Terran said, bowing slightly, "the warrior has arrived in the system. The council requests your presence at the ceremony." Liara nodded. "Very well. I will meet him." She felt a strange flutter in her chest. Meeting the hero of the war would be momentous for her people. But deep inside, a small voice whispered a hope she dared not speak aloud. Could it be him? The palace ceremony was grand. Aliens of many shapes and sizes gathered in the central plaza, their colorful forms creating a living tapestry under the twin suns. Ships glided through the sky, leaving trails of silver light, and children from across Zerathia ran among the crowd, their laughter echoing like a promise that life would continue. At the center of it all, a stage had been erected, draped with banners that celebrated the end of the war. Liara walked to the front, her heart steady despite the excitement around her. The counselor whispered words of guidance, but her mind wandered to the stories of the warrior. Then he appeared. The warrior was human. Liara almost didn't recognize him at first. He was taller, stronger and older than the boy she had met years ago. Yet there was something familiar in the way he stood, calm, confident, and yet approachable. His eyes held warmth and intelligence, and a faint smile curved his lips. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices carrying across the plaza. Liara stepped forward, her role clear, to welcome this hero to her world and to honor him for his deeds. "Warrior of the galaxy," she said, her voice echoing across the plaza, We honor you for bringing peace where there was none. Your courage has changed countless lives." The warrior bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Princess Liara. It was not my strength alone that ended the war. Many hands, many minds worked together. I am merely one part of a larger story." Liara felt a strange shiver. The voice, the calm tone, the careful choice of words reminded her of someone she knew. She blinked rapidly, trying to shake off the memory. But the feeling persisted. Throughout the ceremony, she observed him closely. The way he noticed the smallest details, the gentle nod to children, the subtle respect for her elders, it all seemed familiar, uncomfortably familiar. After the formal greetings, Liara asked to speak with him privately. Her heart thumped in her chest as she guided him to a balcony overlooking the city. The wind played with her hair and the suns painted the sky in soft hues of orange and violet. "Your actions during the war, they were remarkable," Liara began, keeping her tone formal. "But there is something about you I cannot place, something I feel I should know." The warrior turned to her, his expression thoughtful. "Perhaps there is a reason for that." Liara tilted her head, curiosity sparking in her eyes. "Do you know me?" He hesitated for a moment, then smiled. "Gently, and I think I do, but perhaps you would remind me." The words stirred something deep within Liara. The memories she had buried came rushing back. The forest on Earth, the games they had played, the laughter that had filled the air. She took a cautious step closer. "Aaron," she whispered, the name trembling on her lips. The warrior's eyes widened slightly, then softened. "Liara?" Time seemed to stop. Two worlds separated by galaxies, two people changed by years and war, were suddenly reunited. The realization brought warmth and a joy that neither of them had expected. "Yes," Liara said, her voice steady now with certainty. "It is you. All these years, I never thought I would see you again." Aaron smiled, a mixture of nostalgia and happiness lighting up his face. "And yet, here we are. The galaxy is at peace, and I am standing before you. It seems fate has a sense of humor." Liara laughed softly, a sound that felt like sunlight after a storm. The wind carried it across the terrace, and for a moment, the scars of war faded. They spent hours talking, sharing stories of their time apart. Aaron told her of the battles he had faced, the strategies he had used, and the friends he had made, across the stars. Liara shared her experiences as princess, the challenges of leading her people, and the hope she had held on to despite the darkness. Though the war had changed them, their bond remained unbroken. They were no longer the children who had run through forests and dreamed of stars. They were now leaders in a galaxy that had almost forgotten the meaning of peace. Yet, the foundation of their friendship, built on trust, laughter, and shared dreams, had endured. As the suns dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Liara realized something important. The galaxy was vast and peace was fragile, but friendship, true friendship, was a force that could not be destroyed. And perhaps, just perhaps, this reunion was the beginning of a new chapter, not just for her and Aaron, but for all the worlds that now had a chance to rebuild, to heal, and to thrive. The galaxy was quiet, but for the first time in a long while, the quiet felt full of promise. Liara looked at Aaron, her heart full of hope. "We have much to do," she said. "But together, perhaps we can make the galaxy a better place." Aaron nodded. "Together," he agreed. The stars above blinked in approval, and the winds of Zerathia carried a gentle promise that even after darkness, friendship, courage, and hope could light the way. The morning sun rose slowly over Zerathia, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. The city buzzed with excitement. Word had spread quickly. The warrior who had ended the war was not just a hero in legend. He was here, on their planet. The streets were filled with citizens from all walks of life. Traders, students, and even scholars from distant worlds had gathered to witness history. Princess Liara walked along the balcony of her palace, overlooking the plaza below. The air was alive with anticipation. Traders shouted to attract customers, children laughed as they chased glowing orbs of light, and alien visitors marveled at the silver towers of the city. But Liara's mind was elsewhere. Eren. The name echoed in her thoughts. She remembered the boy she had once known, the boy who had climbed trees, invented games, and dreamed of flying among the stars. Could this hero really be him? Her heart urged her to believe it, but caution whispered to wait and see. A signal from the palace heralds announced the warrior's arrival. Ships descended gracefully from the sky, their engines humming softly like a chorus of metallic birds. The largest ship bore the insignia of a distant human fleet. The crowd gasped in awe as the ship's ramp lowered, revealing a figure stepping forward. It was him. Eren's presence was immediately commanding yet gentle. His posture was relaxed, his eyes scanning the plaza with curiosity and respect. He greeted the citizens with a nod and a small, genuine smile. There was no arrogance, no hint of superiority, just calm strength and quiet confidence. Liara's heart skipped a beat. She moved closer, her gown flowing behind her as she descended the palace steps. She wanted to see him up close, to hear the sound of his voice, to feel that spark of recognition that she hoped would not fade. When their eyes met, something shifted. A flicker of recognition passed between them, subtle yet undeniable. It was like the universe had held its breath, waiting for this moment. Eren's lips curved into a smile, though guarded, as if he too sensed a memory long buried. The ceremony began formally. Liara's voice echoed across the plaza as she addressed the hero. "Welcome to Zerathia. Your deeds are known across the galaxy. You have brought peace where there was none, and for that we honor you." Eren bowed slightly, acknowledging the applause from the citizens. "I am grateful, Princess Liara. I did what anyone would do when faced with suffering. I tried to help. The true heroes are the people who supported the mission and believed in peace." Liara watched him carefully. There was a warmth in his eyes, a kindness in his tone that reminded her of someone she had once known. Yet something about him was different now. Years of battle, of responsibility, had shaped him into a man far stronger and wiser than the boy she remembered. After the formalities, the crowd began to disperse, but Liara requested a private audience with him. She led Eren through the palace gardens, a space of shimmering ponds, silver-leafed trees, and glowing flowers. The air smelled of fresh water and blooming herbs, a calm contrast to the chaos of the city outside. "Your arrival is remarkable," Liara said, her voice gentle. "I must admit I feel as if I know you, yet I cannot place it. Have we met before?" Eren studied her for a moment, his eyes thoughtful. "Perhaps. Memories can be tricky. They fade, they change. But sometimes a face or a voice can bring them back." Liara hesitated, her heart racing. "Do you remember Earth?" she asked softly. "A long time ago, before all of this, before the war." Eren's eyes widened slightly, and a faint smile appeared. "Earth? Yes. I remember a planet of green forests, clear rivers, and a small girl, no, a young princess, who laughed too much and dared to climb every tree she could find." Liara laughed, a sound that felt like music to her own ears. "Eren? Is it really you?" He took a step closer, his expression a mixture of disbelief and joy. "Liara, it is you. I thought I had only dreamt of you all these years." For a long moment they simply looked at each other. The years apart, the war, the battles, and the countless memories all seemed to dissolve in that one glance. Liara felt a rush of emotions, joy, nostalgia, and an unexplainable relief. Somehow, even after everything, they had found each other again. "Tell me," Liara said, finally breaking the silence. "How did you end the war? How did you become this?" Eren's gaze drifted to the horizon. "It wasn't easy. The galaxy is vast and the conflicts ran deep, But I realized that fighting with weapons alone could never solve the problems. I had to listen, understand, and find ways to bring people together. Sometimes that meant taking risks. Other times it meant waiting and observing. The key was seeing the humanity in everyone, even those we called enemies. Liara nodded, impressed. That sounds like you always had the wisdom of someone older. I remember your courage, even as a boy. But I see now, it grew into something far greater. Aaron chuckled softly. And I remember your courage too, Liara. You always faced challenges head-on even when you were afraid. I think that bravery is what makes you a true leader. They walked along the garden paths, speaking of their childhood memories. The games they had played, the trees they had climbed, and the stars they had gazed upon. It was as if time had folded in on itself, bringing two old friends together in a world that had changed beyond recognition. I can hardly believe this, Liara admitted. After all the chaos, the war, you are here. And yet, it feels like no time has passed at all. Aaron smiled. Perhaps some things are meant to last. Friendship, memory, hope. They survive even the darkest times. As they continued their conversation, Liara began to notice the small details that reminded her of Aaron. The tilt of his head when he listened carefully, the way his eyes lit up with curiosity, and the soft humor that had once made her laugh for hours. It was as if the boy she had known had grown into a man without losing any of the qualities that had made him special. Liara, Aaron said suddenly, stopping by a glowing pond, I need to ask you something. During the war, I had to make choices, some difficult, some dangerous. You always taught me to think about the consequences of my actions. Did you ever imagine we would meet again like this? Liara smiled, reaching out to touch his hand lightly. No, but I always hoped. I hoped that we would find each other again, and that together, we could make a difference in the galaxy. Aaron's hand closed around hers, firm yet gentle. Then let's do it. Not as heroes or rulers, but as friends. Together we can help this galaxy heal. Liara nodded, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. Rebuilding, uniting, and inspiring hope. And now, with Aaron by her side, she felt ready for anything. The two friends spent the rest of the day walking through the city, observing the efforts to restore life and peace. They watched children play in newly built gardens, scientists discuss new technologies, and diplomats negotiate fair trade agreements. Everywhere they looked, the galaxy seemed to be waking from a long, dark dream. At one point, Liara and Aaron paused on a hill overlooking the city. The twin suns were beginning to set, casting long shadows across the streets. Liara felt a sense of peace she had not known in years. Look at them, she said softly, gesturing toward the city below. All these people. They survived. They rebuilt, and now, we have a chance to guide them toward a better future. Aaron nodded. Yes, and we'll do it together, one step at a time. As the night settled over Zerathia, the stars twinkled above, bright and full of promise. For the first time in a long while, Liara felt that hope was not just a dream. It was real. It was alive. And it was shared, not just with her people, but with the friend who had returned to her life when she needed him most. The galaxy was still vast, and challenges awaited them. But together, Liara and Aaron felt ready to face anything. The warrior had arrived, yes, but more importantly, the friend had returned. And that made all the difference. For in the heart of a galaxy scarred by war, friendship, courage, and hope could shine brighter than any star. The morning light of Zerathia shimmered softly over the palace gardens, turning the silver leaves of the trees into sparks of gold. Princess Liara woke with a strange mixture of excitement and nervousness. Today, she would spend more time with Aaron, the warrior who had saved the galaxy, and as she now knew, her childhood friend. She dressed carefully, choosing a simple gown that allowed her to move freely through the palace grounds. Even though she was a princess, Liara wanted this meeting to feel natural, not formal. Today was about friendship, reconnection, and perhaps understanding just how much they had both changed over the years. Aaron was already waiting in the garden, leaning casually against a low stone railing. When he saw her approach, he straightened and smiled, that familiar warmth in his eyes. It was almost impossible to believe that this man, this hero of the galaxy, had once been a boy she had played with under the tall trees of Earth. "Good morning," Aaron said, his voice calm, carrying the faint sound of a laugh she remembered. "Good morning," Liara replied. "I thought we might walk through the city today. There's much to see, especially now that Zarathia is recovering from the war." Aaron nodded. "Lead the way. I want to see it all." They left the palace, walking along the streets where citizens bustled with energy and hope. Traders offered exotic goods from distant planets, while children chased glowing orbs of energy across the square. Scholars and engineers discussed new projects, trying to repair the damage that the war had left behind. Everywhere they looked, there was life, determination, and resilience. Liara noticed Aaron's attention to detail. He paused to speak with a young inventor whose mechanical drone had malfunctioned, asking questions with genuine interest. When the boy explained his problem, Aaron offered a suggestion that was simple, clever, and kind. The boy's eyes widened, in awe, and Liara felt pride swell in her chest. Not just for Aaron, but for the human spirit that he represented. As they walked, Liara began to feel memories stir, faint at first, like whispers of the past. "Do you remember the forests on Earth?" she asked softly, watching Aaron carefully. He looked at her with a slight smile. "I do. The tall trees, the rivers, the way sunlight came through the leaves, and someone climbing higher than any tree I dared to climb, laughing all the way." Liara laughed. "That was me. You always followed, complaining the entire way." "I only complained because I was afraid of falling," Aaron said with a grin. "But you never hesitated. You always trusted yourself." The sound of his voice, the memories their words evoked, made something inside Liara shift. She realized that their friendship had not been erased by time or distance. It had been waiting, like a seed buried under years of soil, ready to bloom again. They reached a plaza where a group of children were playing a game that reminded Liara of a game she and Aaron had once invented. The rules were simple but clever, requiring teamwork, creativity, and imagination. She knelt to watch them, smiling as the children laughed and ran. Aaron joined her, crouching beside her to observe. "I taught a few children on my travels this game," he said quietly. "It's amazing to see it still alive here." Liara nodded. "It feels like pieces of our childhood are scattered across the galaxy. Some lost, some remembered." Aaron's eyes softened. "And now, we are here. Together, again. We can gather the pieces." They continued walking, moving toward a newly built community center. It had been destroyed in the war but was now rebuilt with care and love. Citizens of Zarathia were working alongside human volunteers and other aliens to create a space for learning, art, and collaboration. Inside, Liara introduced Aaron to engineers, teachers, and students. They showed him new technologies designed to repair damaged infrastructure, to purify water, and to provide sustainable energy. Aaron listened, asked questions, and offered ideas, not orders. His suggestions reflected both his intelligence and his empathy, traits that had clearly guided him through the war. At one point, a young girl approached them with a small handmade device. "Excuse me, sir," she said politely. "I heard you helped end the war. Can you tell me how?" Aaron knelt to her level. "I didn't do it alone. Many people worked together. But the key was understanding each other, listening, and finding ways to solve problems without hurting anyone unnecessarily. Courage is important, yes, but kindness is just as powerful." The girl's eyes widened and she nodded, inspired. Liara watched the exchange, realizing that Aaron's influence extended far beyond battles and strategies. He inspired hope. He reminded people that even in the darkest times, intelligence, empathy, and courage could shine brighter than any weapon. After the tour, Liara and Aaron found a quiet path along the river that ran through the city. The water reflected the afternoon sun, sparkling like countless stars trapped in its current. Liara took a deep breath. "Aaron," she said softly, "all these years I've wondered what became of you. I imagined countless paths, but none as incredible as this. You changed the galaxy, and yet you are still the same person I knew as a child." Aaron smiled, a mixture of humility and pride. "We all change, Liara. But the parts of us that truly matter, the parts that guide, our choices remain, and sometimes the people we meet help us keep those parts alive." Liara nodded, feeling tears prick the corners of her eyes. "I am glad you are here, not just for the galaxy, but for me. I never forgot you." Aaron reached out gently, taking her hand. "And I never forgot you, even when the stars seemed too far apart, even when the war made it impossible. I remembered. Your courage, your laughter, your dreams, they stayed with me." For a moment, time seemed to pause. The river flowed quietly beside them, the wind whispered through the silver trees, and the city thrummed with life in the distance. Two friends, separated by years and galaxies, had found each other again. They shared more stories of their childhood, the games they had played, the nights spent watching stars, and the promises they had made to explore the universe together. Aaron spoke of the challenges he faced during the war, the impossible battles, the negotiations, the moments of doubt. And Liara shared the burdens she had carried as princess, the fear of losing her people, and the hope that had kept her moving forward. "You've grown into someone extraordinary," Liara said, her voice full of admiration. "But I see now that the courage you have always had, it has guided you through everything." Aaron shook his head. "No, I only did what I thought was right. The real strength comes from the people who believed in me, who trusted me, and from friends like you, who reminded me of what matters." Liara smiled, squeezing his hand lightly. "Then let us continue together. Not just as friends, but as partners. The galaxy needs guidance, and I believe we can offer it." Aaron nodded, his eyes bright with determination. "Yes, together." As the sun dipped lower in the sky, they walked back toward the palace, their conversation flowing easily. Every step brought new memories, new laughter, and a growing understanding of each other. They were no longer children, yet the bond they had formed as young friends had not faded. Instead, it had matured, strengthened by years of experiences, challenges, and triumphs. That evening, as they reached the palace, Liara paused to look out over the city once more. Lights twinkled in every street. Children played under the soft glow of lamps, and adults worked together to rebuild a world that had almost been lost. The sight filled her with hope. Aaron stood beside her, his gaze also fixed on the city. "The galaxy is healing," he said quietly. "And so are we." Liara nodded. "Yes. And with each other, we can help it thrive. We can make sure that the peace we fought for lasts, that no one forgets the lessons of the past." Aaron smiled, and for the first time in years, Liara felt a sense of complete peace. They had faced separation, war, and uncertainty, but they had found each other again. Their friendship had endured, stronger than ever. And now together, they were ready to shape a future filled with hope, courage, and unity. The stars above Zerathia began to shimmer as night fell, and Liara knew that this was only the beginning. Memories had reawakened, friendships had been restored, and a new adventure awaited them both. The galaxy had been scarred, but the bonds of the heart were unbroken, and sometimes that was all it took to light the way forward. The first light of dawn shimmered over Zerathia, reflecting off the silver rivers that wound like ribbons through the city. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of blooming flowers and fresh earth. For Princess Liara and Aaron, this day marked more than just another morning. It was the beginning of a mission far greater than any battle they had faced. rebuilding trust across the galaxy. The war had left scars, not just on the planets, but on the hearts of its people. Suspicion lingered, old rivalries simmered, and many civilizations were unsure if peace could truly last. Liara understood that rulers and warriors could end conflicts with strategy and might, but true healing required understanding, cooperation, and creativity, the very qualities that humans like Aaron had shown could change the course of events. "Aaron," Liara said, standing atop a palace balcony, "we've inspired hope here on Zerathia, but the galaxy is vast. How do we reach beyond our planet?" Aaron smiled, gazing at the stars that stretched across the twin suns' sky. "One step at a time. We start here, then we extend. Trade, knowledge, culture. We show the galaxy that humans and allies can work together, not just fight together." Liara nodded. "Then let's begin. We can organize exchanges, projects, and meetings to rebuild trust." Their first initiative focused on the children. They believed that the future would be shaped by the young, and fostering understanding from an early age was essential. Liara and Aaron established a galactic learning program where students from different planets could share knowledge, ideas, and cultures. Human teachers worked alongside alien scholars, teaching math, art, and science in ways that encourage creativity rather than competition. Aaron walked through the first classroom, smiling at a group of students as they collaborated. "On a solar energy project? Remember," he said, "sometimes the simplest solution is the best. Don't be afraid to try ideas that others might not expect." A young Zerathian girl looked up at him, wide-eyed. "But what if we fail?" Aaron crouched to her level. "Failure is just part of learning. Every mistake teaches you something new. The important thing is to keep trying." Liara watched quietly, heart swelling with pride. Aaron's approach was simple but effective. It was not about dominating knowledge, but about sharing it. Not about enforcing authority, but about inspiring confidence. Next, they turned their attention to technology and infrastructure. Many planets had suffered damage to their cities, energy grids, and communication systems. Liara organized a summit of engineers and inventors from across the galaxy. Aaron, with his unique perspective as a human who had studied both technology and diplomacy, helped guide discussions. "Instead of rebuilding in the same old way," he explained to the group, "why not combine ideas? Take the best of each civilization and create something new, something stronger." Aliens from different worlds exchanged blueprints, shared techniques, and brainstormed solutions. Aaron encouraged collaboration, highlighting how each unique skill could solve problems faster than working alone. Within days, plans for more resilient energy grids and water systems began to take shape, not just on Zerathia, but on nearby planets as well. Liara was impressed. "You always think in ways others might miss," she said quietly. "Humans have a way of seeing connections that others overlook." Aaron smiled softly. "We learn by observing, by imagining possibilities. It's what helped me during the war, and it can help now too." Beyond technology and education, Liara and Aaron worked to strengthen cultural bonds. They organized festivals where music, art, and food from different civilizations could be shared. Aliens who had once been enemies danced together. Children learned songs in multiple languages, and laughter filled streets that had known only sorrow. At one festival, a young human boy approached Aaron, holding a small, hand-carved model of a ship. "I want to explore the stars like you," he said earnestly. Aaron knelt to examine the model. "You can, and you should. The galaxy is full of wonders, and your imagination will take you further than any ship." Liara watched the interaction and thought about their own childhood, how she and Aaron had dreamed of exploring the stars together. Now they were planting seeds of hope and courage in a new generation, showing that imagination and cooperation could overcome the darkest times. In addition to education and culture, Liara and Aaron addressed diplomatic relations. Some alien leaders were still wary of humans, fearing that their victory in the war might lead to dominance or control. Liara and Aaron arranged dialogues and exchanges where leaders could discuss trade, defense, and shared goals openly. During one meeting, tensions ran high. Two planets had long-standing grievances and their representatives argued loudly. Aaron stepped forward, listening carefully before speaking. "I understand your concerns," he said calmly. "But think about what your citizens need: safety, food, education, and hope. Fighting over pride won't give them any of that. Let's find a solution that benefits both of you." His words, simple but thoughtful, shifted the atmosphere. Slowly, discussions turned from blame to collaboration. Liara observed, realizing that humans had a way of bridging gaps that even centuries of experience sometimes could not. As the days passed, the impact of Liara and Aaron's efforts became clear. Children were learning together, cities were being rebuilt smarter and stronger, and alien leaders began to see the value of working with humans as partners rather than competitors. The galaxy was healing, one small step at a time. One evening, after a long day of meetings and planning, Liara and Aaron walked along a quiet terrace overlooking the city. The twin moons reflected in the river below, casting a gentle silver glow across the palace gardens. "You know," Liara said softly, "I never imagined humans could make such a difference. Not just in war, but in peace. You think differently. You see opportunities where others see problems." Aaron smiled. "That's what we've always done, Liara. Even as children. We imagined, we explored, we tried to make things better. The difference now is the stakes are higher. But the approach is the same." Liara laughed. "I suppose some things never change." Aaron looked at her, eyes thoughtful. "And some things do. We've both grown, learned, and seen the galaxy at its worst. But the bond we share, that has endured. And now, together, we can shape what comes next." Liara felt a surge of hope. She had always believed in human courage and ingenuity, but seeing it in action side by side with Aaron made her heart swell. The galaxy was vast and full of challenges, but with friendship, empathy, and creativity, even the most impossible problems could be solved. Their work was not without challenges. Some planets were slow to trust and old wounds were not easily healed. But Liara and Aaron remained patient, persistent, and united. They knew that true peace required time, understanding, and constant effort. And together, they embodied the qualities that could make that peace last. Weeks turned into months. The galaxy began to transform. Trade routes reopened, communication networks became more reliable, and interplanetary education flourished. Festivals of unity spread across star systems, and stories of human ingenuity inspired beings from countless worlds. Liara and Aaron stood together on a balcony one night, gazing at the stars. "It's incredible," Liara said. "I never thought I'd see so many civilizations working together, learning from each other." Aaron nodded. "It's only the beginning, but it's proof that humans and those who choose hope over fear can make a difference." Liara smiled. "I'm proud of you, Aaron. And I'm grateful that we found each other again. Together, we can guide this galaxy toward something better." Aaron reached for her hand, his grip firm yet gentle. "Together," he agreed. The stars above seemed to shimmer brighter, as if acknowledging their promise. The galaxy had suffered, yet it was healing, guided by courage, friendship, and hope. And Liara and Aaron, childhood friends turned partners in peace, were at the heart of that transformation. For the first time in many years, the galaxy felt alive not just with life but with potential. The wounds of war would take time to fully heal, but under the guidance of humans who led with empathy and creativity, a brighter, more united future was possible. Liara turned to Aaron, her voice soft but certain. "We've built bridges between worlds, but the real journey is just beginning. There are more planets, more people, more challenges ahead. Are you ready?" Aaron smiled, eyes gleaming. "I was born ready, especially with you by my side." And as the twin moons rose higher into the night sky, Liara knew that together they could face anything. The galaxy was vast, but hope, courage, and friendship could light the way even across the farthest stars. The first light of the twin suns bathed Zerathia in soft gold and pink. The city sparkled like a jewel, its towers gleaming, rivers reflecting light, and gardens full of life. The scars of war were still visible in some places, but the people moved with hope and purpose. Life had returned stronger than before, and the galaxy itself seemed to breathe easier. Princess Liara stood on a balcony overlooking the city. Beside her was Aaron, the warrior who had ended the war, and the friend who had returned to her life. Together, they had not only rebuilt Zerathia, but had begun to inspire hope across countless star systems. The bond between them, forged in childhood and strengthened through trials, had grown into something greater than either could have imagined. "The galaxy is changing," Liara said softly, her voice almost lost in the morning breeze. "I can feel it." Aaron smiled, watching the streets. "Below?" "Yes. But it's not just the galaxy that's changing, people are changing too. They see that working together is stronger than fighting alone. That hope can survive even after the darkest times." Liara nodded. "It's amazing, and a little overwhelming. There's so much to do, so many worlds that still need help." Aaron placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Then we'll go, together. Step by step, planet by planet. We've seen what humans can do, how imagination, courage, and empathy can solve problems, and now we can share it with everyone else." Their first mission that day was to visit a nearby planet called Virelia, a world that had been caught in the middle of the war. Its cities were ruined, its people wary of outsiders. Liara and Aaron arrived to see makeshift shelters, broken communication towers, and weary faces. Liara turned to Aaron. "We need to show them that peace is possible, that we're not here to impose but to help." Aaron nodded. "We'll do it carefully. First listen, understand their needs. Then we act." The two leaders met with Virelia's council, sitting in a simple stone hall. The councilors were cautious, their eyes wary of outsiders. Some were human, many were alien, each representing a planet or city affected by the war. Aaron began to speak, his voice calm and steady. "We have come not as conquerors or rulers, but as friends. We know your world has suffered, and we want to help you rebuild in ways that benefit your people. Together, we can create systems that provide clean water, energy, and education for all." The counselors exchanged skeptical looks, but Liara stepped forward. "We are not here to take control. We are here to offer guidance and support. Your knowledge, your skills, and your culture are valuable. Together, we can find solutions that respect your ways while helping your people thrive." Hours passed as they discussed plans, shared ideas, and listened to the needs of the citizens. Slowly, the counselors' expressions softened. By the end of the day, tentative agreements were made for collaborative rebuilding projects. Aaron and Liara had planted seeds of trust, showing that leadership could come from cooperation rather than domination. After the meeting, Liara and Aaron walked through the streets of Virelia. Children ran toward them, curious and excited, while adults observed cautiously. Aaron knelt to greet the children, asking their names and listening to their dreams. Liara joined him, offering gentle smiles and encouragement. "This is why we do this," Liara said softly, seeing the hope in their eyes. "It makes all the effort worth it." Aaron nodded. "It's why humans can make a difference. We don't just fight. We inspire, we teach, and we guide. That's our true strength." As night fell over Virelia, they stood atop a hill overlooking the planet. Lights from the settlements twinkled below, and the stars above stretched endlessly. "Look at it," Liara whispered. "So many lives, so much potential, and now, we can help them reach it." Aaron smiled. "And we will, step by step, planet by planet." The following weeks were filled with journeys to distant worlds. On Tavira, they helped build schools and training centers where humans and aliens learned from each other. On Morel, they guided the construction of energy networks, powered by renewable systems, blending alien technology with human innovation. On Korath, they mediated disputes between communities that had fought for generations, showing that diplomacy could succeed where weapons had failed. Everywhere they went, Liara and Aaron left behind not just structures or agreements, but a new way of thinking. They demonstrated that humans, with their empathy, ingenuity, and courage, could inspire peace and progress across civilizations. One evening, after a long day of meetings on the planet Solara, Liara and Aaron found themselves on a quiet cliff overlooking the ocean. The twin moons reflected on the waves, casting silver light across the water. "We've done so much," Liara said, sitting on a rock. "And yet there is still so much more to do. Sometimes I wonder if it will ever be enough." Aaron sat beside her, his eyes reflecting the moons. "It will never be finished. The galaxy is vast and life is always changing. But that's the beauty of it. Every small step we take, every act of kindness, every bridge we build, it matters." Liara smiled, feeling a warmth she had not felt in years. "I am glad you're here, Aaron. I don't know if I could do this without you." Aaron looked at her, his expression gentle and steady. "And I'm glad you're here, Liara. You remind me why I do this. Why hope is worth holding, even in the darkest times." They sat in silence for a moment, listening to the waves crash softly against the shore. Memories of their childhood surfaced. The forests they had explored, the games they had invented, the dreams they had shared of flying among the stars. Those memories, once distant, now felt alive again, guiding them forward in ways they had never imagined. The next morning, Liara and Aaron returned to Zerathia for a council meeting with leaders from across the galaxy. The palace halls were filled with representatives from dozens of planets, each bringing stories of success and progress inspired by their efforts. One ambassador from the planet Rivora stood and spoke. "We were skeptical of humans at first," she admitted. "But your approach has shown us that cooperation is stronger than conquest. Your guidance has inspired hope in ways we never thought possible." Liara and Aaron exchanged a quiet smile. "It is not only humans who can create change," Liara said. "It is all of us working together." The ambassador nodded. "Yes, together." Throughout the day, more leaders shared stories of communities rebuilt, disputes resolved, and young people inspired to dream bigger. Liara and Aaron listened, proud and humbled by the impact of their actions. As the council adjourned, Liara and Aaron walked through the palace gardens once more. The stars sparkled above, familiar constellations shining as they had during their childhood nights on Earth. "Do you remember when we promised to explore the stars?" Liara asked, smiling. Aaron laughed softly. "I do. We never imagined we'd be exploring them like this, with entire civilizations depending on us. But I suppose the promise was always about more than adventure. It was about guiding and protecting too." Liara nodded. "Yes, and we've done that together. But I think the best part is, we've found each other again. That was always the most important promise." Aaron reached for her hand, holding it firmly. "Then let's keep it," he said. "Not just for ourselves, but for the galaxy. Together we will continue to guide, to inspire, and to build a future worth living for." As they looked out over Zerathia, the city lights twinkling like stars below, Liara felt a deep sense of peace. The galaxy had been scarred by war, but it was healing. Humans had shown their strength not just in battle, but in empathy, ingenuity, and the ability to bring hope where it was needed most. Aaron squeezed her hand, a silent promise that they would face the future side by side. And Liara knew without doubt that together they could overcome any challenge. The twin suns rose higher in the sky, illuminating the city and the rivers that wound through it. The future stretched out before them, bright, full of potential, and alive with possibility. Liara and Aaron, childhood friends turned partners in peace, had begun a new chapter for the galaxy. It was a new dawn, not just for Zerathia, but for all worlds touched by their courage, wisdom, and friendship. And in that dawn, hope burned brighter than ever, a light that could guide countless civilizations for generations to come. Liara turned to Aaron, her voice soft but certain. The galaxy is wide, Aaron. There are more planets, more lives, more dreams. Are you ready to explore them with me? Aaron smiled, eyes gleaming with determination and warmth. Always, together. And with that promise, they stepped forward into the morning light, ready to shape the galaxy into a place where hope, courage, and friendship could thrive. The stars above shone brightly, reflecting the new dawn of peace. And somewhere, far across, the galaxy, children dreamed of stars, laughter, and heroes, just like Liara and Aaron had once done long ago on Earth. The galaxy was alive. The journey was far from over. But for the first time in countless years, the future felt full of endless possibility.